everyone, we are here at KubeCon Detroit 2022 in North America. I'm here with Ben. And Ben, how has your experience been?
It's been great. Yeah, I've had a really good day.
And you have a really big booth here at Teleport. So I would like to learn more about what sort of like conversations you had with people.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about secure access, let's start with what are some of the challenges that people face. Just share about the discussions you've had at the booth.
Yeah, so going back in the whole history of secure access, you start with, servers used to be in like the basement of your building.
Yeah.
Then servers went to the cloud.
Yeah.
And we have all these services to get to like remote access, SSH being one of them, you get SSH access. And whereas since KubeCon, things have evolved. You don't have access just to the raw Kubernetes node, you get access to the Kubernetes API. And Teleport is a tool that helps support access to the Kubernetes API. But before we dive into Teleport, we can talk about some of the problems of accessing the Kubernetes API. So for people who have configured Kubernetes, one of the first things you do is you have kubectl on your local machine, and you need to get access to that host. And Kubernetes does this through like kubeconfigs. And if you look at your kubeconfig, it's just like a file. And in that file has a range of options. It has like the URL of the endpoint and normally a certificate inside of it. And once you have access to that, that maps to internal users such as like system masters would be the sort of God mode of access. And you can create other RBAC to provide fine-grained roles. So teams really want to use the principle of least privilege. Once you've rolled it out and deployed it, you don't want to give your development team that you want to give them the least amount of privilege to access their cluster so they can get their job done and then change to other roles. So it's like you don't want to be accessing a server en route. You want to create local users because if someone wants to get access to that root user, once you have root on a box, a bad person can do bad things. And then also you can do bad things. So by using local users on like, let's say Linux servers, you have to run sudo and it like confirms it that you want to like enter the password. So you're less likely to shoot yourself in the foot. So that's another reason.
Or if someone quits.
Yeah, if someone quits too. So, this is one problem we saw at Teleport is, as teams grow 50 to 100, 1,000 people, you have all these engineers coming and going, and how do you give them the credentials to their servers? So in the world of servers, you used to have like Ansible runbooks. You'd add people to join, you give them the public key, Ansible runbook runs, then people would forget about them. And so they would leave and they'd still have access. And so if you take servers, you upgrade from public private keys to SSH certificates. And the same is for Kubernetes. So you don't want to give everyone system masters, you want to give people defined roles. And Teleport is a tool that solves this problem for giving access to those groups through an identity provider, and then you give them the short-lived credentials.
Amazing. And speaking of KubeCon, were there any particular talks that you really liked?
I'm going to pitch one from Kenny, who's probably here at the booth. He gave a talk on why machines deserve rights. And so what we've seen is, especially the last couple of years, a lot of attacks have been on supply chain. So like SolarWinds was through the CI/CD build system. And so people are very protecting like the front door for users, but there's all these services and other things to touch your infrastructure that you give them really long credentials and certificates. And we have an open source project called Machine ID, which provides short-lived access to those servers. So,
can you tell us a little bit more about the Teleport features? Now we talked about the challenges, what the community thinks. Let's talk a little bit more about how Teleport is addressing these challenges.
Yes, so Teleport is an open source, open core product. If you're using GitHub, we provide GitHub SSO, so you have a small team, you can provide access to those clusters, providing for servers, applications, databases, Kubernetes clusters, and Windows desktops. And we have everyone from like Fortune 500 companies and banks, but also people love them in their home lab. And we have recording features. So it's almost like a journal of what you did on that cluster.
You can share it with your coworkers.
You can share with your coworkers, yeah. You can do shared chats and do a bunch of cool stuff in Teleport.
Yeah. There was one more question. What is passwordless?
Passwordless?
Why do people care?
Yeah, so passwords have all these problems. One, people, use short password, password reuse. So if a website gets hacked, passwords are poorly stored, you can use that password again. Also, people fall to phishing. And so once you get your password through a phishing attempt, you can get access to it. Passwordless is two components. One is normally a hardware device. It could be like Touch ID, or it could be like a YubiKey in combination with a PIN or a biometrics. Would mean there's no, like the person physically has to get this, and so it removes a whole bunch of attacks. And I think my favorite thing on passwordless is it makes it almost invisible. And my favorite example would be like Face ID on your iPhone. You just look at it, it logs you in, and that's a passwordless authentication flow, but you don't see it.
Teleport 10, right?
Yeah, we have to teleport 10, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So one last question is, what was the highlight of the KubeCon for you?
I mean, it's been great to meet all of the customers here. You know, well, we're here to sort of educate more about our product. We have lots of people who are already using teleports. And so it's fun to hear all the different use cases and stories from both large and small companies and how they're using integrating teleport.
Amazing. One more question for you.
Okay.
You talk about a few years down the line, and from the discussions you've had at the speakers and the sessions you've attended, what are some of the trends that we're likely to see when accessing infrastructure?
You know, I think generally moving to like principle of least privilege, so giving people less access, but giving the options to sort of like escalate roles, give people access, like just-in-time access to be very important. Probably the second one would be policy as code. And so you have all this complexity around how do you RBAC. Policy as code lets people run tests, lint, verify that their like RBAC rules are useful and they're going to be enforced.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing, Ben. And if I learn more about Teleport, I'll leave the links in the description below. More clips from KubeCon. Check out Civo TV on YouTube. Thanks a lot, Ben.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.